So where are all of these illegal guns coming from? And can officials do more to keep them off of our streets? In keeping with our commitment to challenge leaders, our Jeff Cole sat down with an ATF official and found out that this is much more complicated than many people believe, and it's bigger than just Philadelphia.
When you look and see 529 deaths in the city of Philadelphia, what do you think about that number of deaths in this city?
That strikes us here at the ATF very hard, because our primary mission is to reduce firearm violence in the city of Philadelphia and throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
As the special agent in charge of the Philadelphia Office of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, Matthew Varisco's job is to keep firearms out of the wrong hands. But with murders at a record number and the crack of gunfire nearly constant on city streets, his challenge is large.
Where are the guns coming from that are killing people in this city?
What we know from comprehensive tracing through the ATF National Tracing Center is that firearms are primarily being diverted into Philadelphia from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I say that, but I also want to clarify in the sense that we do have a significant amount of firearms that are trafficked into the city of Philadelphia from other states.
For the crime guns coming from Pennsylvania, Varisco argues many are illegally bought from gun dealers through a process known as straw purchasing.
Straw purchasing is when a legal buyer buys a gun for an illegal buyer.
Correct.
And an illegal buyer is someone likely with a felony conviction.
Correct.
A criminal.
Correct.
How do you stop that?
We stop that through intelligence, through, as I said, tracing of firearms, so we know where we can identify these schemes and patterns, but also through information.
He says ATF agents will sometimes go to the home of the person who bought the guns and ask questions, trying to learn if they've dumped them into the underground flow of illegal weapons. But there are limits.
Isn't that one of your challenges in Pennsylvania? That you are not required to report a lost or stolen weapon. So even if that person says to you, I lost them, you can't arrest them around that, right?
We wouldn't be able to initiate an arrest at first. It would require more work, which we have several task forces set up to do that with our partners. And look, this takes an all-hands-on-deck approach.
Varisco says the ATF works with local police and federal prosecutors to bring gun charges. He says most firearms used to kill within Philadelphia come from outside its borders.
What we do know is the majority of firearms are purchased outside of the city and brought into the city of Philadelphia. That's where the majority of the crime guns are coming.
Why do you think?
You know, it may just be the amount of licensees that are outside of the city.
There are more than 3,100 federal firearms licensees or dealers in Pennsylvania.
Does ATF have the responsibility to inspect every licensee?
Yes.
Once every year?
Yes.
Do you do that? Can you do that?
We can't do that based on the amount of manpower that we have. So what we do is we strategically look at federal firearm licensees that have higher levels of firearm recoveries, and we will inspect them.
They inspect gun dealers who've sold firearms that are later linked to crimes. He says they have pulled licenses and brought criminal charges. Varisco says his agency needs help from the public, but knows the fear.
You need tips.
Tips, yeah.
You want tips from people.
Yes, sir.
Who's moving guns in your neighborhood?
Correct.
You think people know that?
I think
residents know that.
Of course. Of course they do.
But they don't tell you, probably because they're freaked. They're scared.
There's no doubt about it that is an unfortunate aspect of providing that information, and I would be scared.
Special agent in charge Varisco says his agency has money that it will give to tipsters who come forward and give them information on gun trafficking, and will pay to relocate those who come forward and help them and are now fearful. I'm Jeff Cole.